WEG has regional distribution centers across the country, has excellent availability in their motor products. Much of what's needed for motors is available off the shelf. Sometimes there's modifications required to enhance those motors to accommodate different application requirements. So if modifications would be needed, modification centers are attached to all of those RDCs. So you got the excellent availability of WEG motors and the excellent ability to modify that inventory. There's a number of common modifications for motors that we can do in the mod warehouse. Very common application-wise in the motor industry is for a motor to be put on a variable frequency drive. WEG motors are VFD rated. What that means is that NEMA requires motor manufacturers to get a VFD rated label if they build their winding system to accommodate the voltage spikes coming off of a VFD during inverter use. So a VFD rated motor will be protected winding wise, but it won't necessarily be protected bearing wise. Those shaft currents can travel through the motor windings and through their natural path to ground. That path takes them through the motor's bearing system. As it passes through the grease, there's an electrical chemical reaction that happens in the grease and something called electric discharge curves, where tiny pits will be zapped into the bearing raceways. Those pits can combine together to form deep grooves, and at that point you have VFD related bearing failure. So to protect against that, you can modify your motor to rechannel those electrical currents around the bearings and then to ground through something like a shaft collar grounding device and an insulated end bell for your non-drive end bearing cap on your motor. So if the motor is going on a VFD, WEG recommends to protect against shaft grounding currents. Those modifications can be done quickly at our modification centers. If your motor is going into an area that might have moisture present, the motor is not running continuously, but stopping and starting and sitting for a while before starting. One common thing is to have moisture accumulate inside the motor. So space heaters, when you consider a space heater, you put it into a motor not because the motor will get cold because of the weather, but because moisture will collect inside the winding system due to condensation. That space heater will burn off that moisture into vapor, remove it from the winding system, and prevent possible failures to occur related to that moisture. When you introduce water into an electrical system, there's a number of things that can go wrong, so a space heater would remove those potential failure items. Seals are designed to prevent ingress from different contaminants, dirt, water, etc. So if you have an environment, for example, with a lot of water, then you may want to upgrade your seal so that water doesn't come in between the shaft and the bearing end bell. So there are applications that do require upgraded seals. However, WEG does design products to fit these types of applications. So if you have a motor that you're going to hang upside down, shaft up in a cooling tower, have water falling on it all day long, rather than modifying a seal in a mod shop, WEG has already designed a motor exactly perfect for that application that you can buy off the shelf without needing to modify your shaft seal at all. There's certain modifications that are common enough to be standardized around with certain ratings. So one such rating is IEEE 841. Those motors are specified to include upgraded protection from ingress elements. That includes the shaft seal. So WEG has designed a motor that is essentially an upgraded W22 motor in the W22 841 motor. When you have a modified motor, meaning something different than your standard stock product, you've got two options. You can send it from production in your factory to include those modifications and then be delivered with factory lead time. That can take a while, especially with supply chain issues happening, in the current time frames. So rather than wait 14, 20, 30 weeks, you can take a standard motor and perform a very long list of modifications in the WEG Modification centers. This includes winding RTDs, bearing RTDs, space heaters, moving your terminal box location, changing paint, changing nameplates, VFD, shaft grounding protection. There's a very long list of modifications that the WEG Modification centers are capable of. This will give you a very well-engineered motor with a very short and reduced lead time. So instead of waiting for your long factory lead time, you wait a week or two for a stock motor to be modified. Motors are, they're critical pieces of equipment, and sometimes they need to be engineered pretty specifically for their application. If you need any technical resources for that application, you can go to your local ErieTec branch, or you can contact WEG Factory at 1-800-ASK-FOR-WEG.